In the heart of Africa, beyond the mountains and the endless forests, there was a village called Asamba, a village embraced by water on every side. The rivers fed the land, and from those rivers, the people drew wealth, food, and pride. Fishing was not just an occupation in Asamba, it was a measure of honor, of respect, of survival. The richest men in Asamba were not warriors, nor traders, but fishermen. But in this same village lived a man named Ekpo, a man whose story was unlike the others. Ekpo was poor, so poor that his hut, patched with leaking thatch, shook whenever the wind blew. He was unlucky, so unlucky that even after casting his net through the long nights, he would return with only enough fish to feed himself, and sometimes not even that. His misfortune was so deep that the villagers believed it had a darker root. They whispered behind his back, "It is Ekpo who killed his parents with witchcraft. It is Ekpo who carries a curse." For when Ekpo was just 13, both his parents drowned in the river. From that day, the shadow of blame followed him. Children were warned not to play near him. Traders refused to sell to him. During festivals, he was told to stay away from the village square. Ekpo was a living ghost among his people. But in every darkness, there is always a flicker of light. For Ekpo had one friend. His name was Atim. Atim was a man of no honor in the eyes of the village. He drank too much palm wine, he sang too loud, and he staggered through the streets with laughter that people mocked. But to Ekpo, Atim was a brother. Every evening when Ekpo returned with empty nets, Atim would sit with him under the great mango tree by the riverbank. Together, they would sing. Together, they would laugh. "Don't you worry, my friend," Atim would say, his voice slurred but warm. "Someday, everything will be well." One year, the people of Asamba prepared for the grand fishing festival. It was a time of joy, a time of pride. Villagers decorated the square, drummers rehearsed their beats, maidens painted their faces, and the air smelled of roasted fish and palm wine. But the festival came with a rule. For days before the celebration, no one was allowed to fish in the main rivers. This was not a problem. After all, everyone had already caught enough to last. Everyone, except Ekpo. Hungry and desperate, he turned to a river the villagers had long abandoned, a river they called Cursed. They mocked him as he carried his net. "Look at him, the cursed man going to a cursed river. If he could not catch in the rivers of life, what will he find in a river of death? Maybe the river will swallow him, like it swallowed his parents." But Ekpo did not answer. His friend Atim was sick and starving, and he himself had nothing to eat. He pushed his small canoe into the silent waters of the deserted river. That night, while drums of celebration thundered in the distance, Ekpo sat in his lonely canoe. He cast his net and sighed. "What have I done to deserve this life?" he whispered to the night. "Why was I born into pain?" Tears filled his eyes as the laughter of the village carried across the water. He began to sing the old songs he and Atim sang under the mango tree. But before he could finish, the net shook. Once, twice, then with great force. Ekpo jumped to his feet, his heart racing. He pulled with all his strength, his arms trembling, his body sweating. This was what he had waited for all his life, a catch so strong it threatened to drag him under. After what felt like endless struggle, the net gave way. Breathing heavily, Ekpo peered inside, and there, he froze. It was no fish, no treasure, no monster. It was a mermaid. Her skin glowed like moonlight. Her hair curled like the waves. Her tail shimmered with colors no man of Asamba had ever seen. She looked at him with eyes full of pain. Ekpo trembled. Should he kill her? Should he show her to the village and prove himself worthy? No, he lifted her gently and carried her to his hut. There, he laid her on his bed. He treated her wounds with herbs. He whispered to her, though she never spoke back. He named her Ufan, meaning love. Every night he sang to her until sleep carried him away. But from the very first night she came, Ekpo began to dream. He saw himself at the mango tree by the river. A voice spoke, "Uproot the tree. Beneath it lies a pot of oil. Cook with it for the mermaid to eat." Night after night, the dream returned. The same tree, the same pot of oil, the same command. On the sixth night, the dream changed. "If you do not make the soup, Ufan will die." Ekpo could not risk it. While the villagers danced at the festival, he ran to the mango tree. He dug with his bare hands, sweat pouring down his face. Hours passed, his hands bled, and then the tree fell. Beneath it, a pot filled with shining oil. "So, the dream is true," Ekpo whispered. He carried it home, cooked fish soup with the oil, and fed it to Ufan. Together, they ate until they slept in peace. At dawn, Ekpo stirred to a voice. "Good morning, Ekpo. Wake up. Let us go to the village square." He turned and nearly fell back. There stood Ufan, no longer a mermaid. Her tail was gone. She stood tall, her skin radiant, dressed in fine African attire. She smiled. "I like you too, Ekpo, but how we met must remain our secret, or our love will not last." Together, they went to Atom's house. The man was weak, coughing, barely alive. Ufan touched his forehead. In an instant, Atom sat up, coughing loudly, strength filling his bones. "What has happened to me?" he cried, staring at the beautiful woman beside his friend. Ekpo only smiled. They gave Atim new clothes, and the three of them, Ekpo, Atim, and Ufan, walked to the festival square. The moment they entered, the drums stopped. The dancers froze. The people gasped. The cursed man who once walked alone now walked with a queen. Whispers filled the air. "Is this Ekpo? The wizard? The cursed man? Look at him. Look at her." For the first time in his life, Ekpo was seen. For the first time, he was respected. From that day, Ekpo and Atim prospered. They fished, but never too much. They lived, but never in fear. Ekpo married Ufan, and together they built a life of joy and love. The man once cursed by the river was the one the river chose to bless. So, remember, my friends, fate does not always smile on the strongest nets, but it never forgets the kindest hearts.